The Abbott government's attempts to fix the federal budget has raised eyebrows with small business. The Commission of Audit will be led by the Business Council of Australia, which represents the big end of town. There are also questions being asked about the government's willingness to make really tough decisions. Andrew Robertson reports.
It's understandable that when you want a job done well, you turn to your mates for help. But those mates in the Business Council of Australia have their own well-publicised agenda, which may be very different to the aspirations of other sectors of the community.
The problem with big business and people who don't understand our sector is it's whether they like it or not, often it's subconscious. It's what's good for them that they're talking about. It's not the country.
Outside the business world, the Australian Council of Social Service has similar concerns, believing the makeup of the Commission of Audit is too narrowly focused.
It's a glaring gap for us that we don't have any representation from the community side of what's a very, very important debate about the role of government, the size of government and appropriate expenditure.
One of the key aims of the Commission of Audit will be to recommend measures which will eliminate the government's structural deficit. On the surface, it looks easy. The reality, though, is that meaningful change will require vested interests to give up some or all of their government handouts, and politically, that's the hard part.
It's just not at all obvious that a group of people representing very narrow interests in Australia are going to put all of the options on the table and recommend hard choices that would be good for Australia, but at times bad for some of the membership of the Business Council.
How are we going to make sure that big business doesn't get all the spoils from this and that small business end up getting nothing again?
As Tony Shepherd and his colleagues consider their new role, they might like to think about this. The budget deficit this year is forecast to be $30 billion. Now, if they want to make some quick savings, the capital gains tax concession is $35 billion. Negative gearing is $6 billion. In the business world, the diesel fuel rebate is $6 billion and accelerated depreciation is $2 billion. That's nearly $50 billion, the vast majority of which is going to either well-off individuals or well-off companies. And then there's the fastest growing item of tax expenditure, superannuation tax concessions, which this year are forecast to be $37 billion.
If we were serious, then you couldn't go past winding in those concessions, particularly when Treasury tells us that the wealthiest 5% of the population get around a third of the benefit.
Even if the Commission of Audit does surprise its critics with even-handed recommendations that really do address Australia's social and economic issues, it's up to the government to implement them. ACOS's Cassandra Goldie has vivid memories of the Henry report into the tax system a few years ago, which was largely dropped in the garbage tin.
I certainly hope this is not a smokescreen for a slash-and-burn exercise. I think we need to take the Prime Minister at his word when he said after his election that he would not leave anybody behind and that he would be focusing particularly on people most in need.
With ageing baby boomers and big business having very loud voices in the political system, that may be easier said than done.